they told you that being good would protect you, that if you were kind, patient, forgiving, the world would return the same energy. They said goodness was power, but if you've lived long enough, you know that isn't true. The world doesn't reward purity. It rewards leverage. The man who tries to be good to everyone ends up useful to no one. In the hierarchy of survival, kindness without strength is currency without value. Goodness, when unguarded, becomes a weakness. It attracts users, manipulators, and those who mistake compassion for permission. The man who lives to be liked eventually finds himself surrounded by people who take, never those who give. He becomes predictable, easy to read, and easy to use. And because he believes in fairness, he never fights back. He doesn't see that most people aren't looking for goodness. They're looking for advantage. The truth is brutal. People respect what they fear losing, not what they find comfortable. The man who always tries to please others never inspires loyalty. He inspires convenience. His goodness is cheap because it's unconditional. The world doesn't value what it can easily get. Every act of blind kindness becomes an open invitation to be ignored. That's why the strong stay feared, not because they are cruel, but because their respect has weight. They give it rarely, take it carefully, and withdraw it decisively. Their mercy means something precisely because it is not guaranteed. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He warned that it is safer to be feared than loved, not because fear is cruel, but because love is fickle. Love depends on the mood of others. Fear depends on your consistency. When you live by kindness alone, your control rests in the hands of those who can choose to ignore it. When you live by discipline and strength, your control remains yours. Silent, steady, unquestioned. The weak cling to goodness because it gives them identity. It's easier to say I'm kind than to say I'm controlled. But real strength isn't found in constant forgiveness or approval. It's found in limits. The strong man can still be kind, but his kindness is chosen, not automatic. It's measured, not begged for. He knows that mercy is only meaningful when it has the power to be withheld. His goodness is a weapon, not a weakness. So the lie unravels. Goodness alone does not make a man noble. It makes him vulnerable. Power gives goodness value. Without power, your morals are just decoration, something people admire while they take advantage of you. The truth is simple. You can't be good until you have the power to be dangerous. Until then, your kindness isn't virtue. It's survival instinct. Fear is older than love. It ruled the world before language, before laws, before civilization learned to smile. Every creature understands it, instinctively. Fear keeps order where morality fails. It's not cruelty, it's structure. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote that men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. Love depends on emotion, but fear depends on consequence. And consequence never goes out of style. The weak try to inspire love because they have no leverage. They believe if they're nice enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, people will treat them fairly. But fairness is a myth. Self-interest is law. People do what benefits them and stop when it costs them. That's why the man who is merely kind is ignored, while the man who can punish without rage is respected. Fear, when controlled, is not tyranny. It's balance. It creates boundaries where words fail. Every relationship, personal or political, runs on invisible currency. Some trade in affection, some in admiration. The powerful trade in fear. It's not the fear of pain or cruelty. It's the fear of losing your respect, your approval, your presence. The strong man doesn't threaten. He withdraws. His silence weighs more than another man's shouting. His disappointment stings deeper than another's anger. He understands that fear doesn't always require violence. It just requires consistency. The world bends for those who can enforce consequence. When your words mean nothing, your silence must mean everything. When your kindness has no edge, people stop listening. But when your patience has a limit, when others know you can walk away, cut ties, or act without hesitation, your presence becomes authority. Fear begins there, not in brutality, but in certainty. People respect what they cannot manipulate. And here lies the paradox. Those who are feared are rarely forced to use their power. Their restraint is what keeps order. Fear is efficient. It prevents more violence than it causes. The weak man, constantly trying to be loved, ends up causing more chaos by enabling it. His boundaries blur, his words lose weight, and eventually his own kindness turns against him. The currency of fear is stability. It demands no apology, no explanation, no endless justification. It simply exists, quiet, consistent, unbending. When others sense it, they move carefully. They measure their words, their tone, their loyalty. That's not hatred, that's order. The strong man doesn't demand obedience. He earns compliance through presence alone. Fear, properly used, is not evil. It's honest. It reminds people where the line is and what happens when it's crossed. Because respect built on love is fragile. Respect built on consequence lasts forever. Every man begins his downfall the same way, by wanting to be liked. It starts innocently. You do favors. You bend your boundaries. You explain yourself just a little too much. You think you're building connection. You're not. You're building dependency on their validation. The moment you need people to approve of you, they own you. They can withhold it, give it, or twist it to control your every move. Approval is the most elegant chain ever invented. It doesn't need locks. It needs insecurity. Weak men live for approval because it gives them identity. They mistake being liked for being respected. They fear rejection more than insignificance. So they adapt. They speak softly when they should stand firm. They agree when they should walk away. They tolerate what disgusts them just to avoid conflict. Each compromise feels small, harmless, until they wake up one day and realize they've been molded into something they no longer recognize. Approval addiction doesn't destroy you suddenly. It dissolves you slowly. The strong don't chase approval. They chase control, not over others but over themselves. They understand that being liked is temporary, but being consistent is eternal. People respect those who set standards and never lower them to please anyone. The man who can say no without apology commands more loyalty than the one who always says yes with a smile. Fear and respect are born in boundaries. Love without boundaries becomes pity. Approval seekers always end up exhausted. They perform kindness like theater, but it never fills them because the crowd's applause is conditional. The moment you stop serving their comfort, they withdraw it. The weak man's peace dies the second someone disapproves of him. He tries to fix it, explain himself, smooth it over. He thinks he's repairing relationships, and he's actually teaching others that his emotions are negotiable. The strong man doesn't argue for his value. He lives it. He understands that rejection is part of leadership, that silence is sometimes more powerful than justification. When he walks away, it's not pride, it's policy. He knows approval is addictive because it feels like safety, but it's really control disguised as affection. And the moment you stop needing it, you become unpredictable. And that unpredictability commands respect. A man's strength is measured not by how many people like him, but by how few he needs to please. When you no longer seek permission to be who you are, the world shifts. People sense your detachment, and that detachment breeds quiet authority. You no longer bend, you no longer explain, you no longer ask. You simply exist, unshaken, uninterested, untouchable. Because in the end, the man who doesn't need to be liked cannot be controlled. Power begins the moment you stop needing to be close. Distance is not coldness, it's control. Most men fear separation because they confuse proximity with safety. They believe the closer they stay to people, the more they matter. But closeness often kills clarity. You can't see the truth when you're standing too close to the noise. Distance exposes everything: loyalty, motives, intentions. It shows you who actually values you and who only values your presence. Weak men chase connection like oxygen. They fear being alone because silence confronts them with themselves. They fill every moment with distraction, with people, with noise. But dependence makes them predictable, and predictability is the enemy of power. The strong man learns to detach. He disappears when others cling, observes when others react, and protects his mind from constant exposure. His absence creates tension. His scarcity builds value, because what is rare is always respected. Distance disciplines the emotions. When you step back, the fog clears. You start seeing patterns: how people talk when they need you, how they vanish when you need them. The space you create becomes a filter. It removes the temporary, leaving only the genuine. But this discipline hurts at first. You'll feel the weight of silence pressing against you, testing you. Most can't bear it. They break and return to the comfort of familiarity. The few who stay still discover something extraordinary: freedom. When you master distance, you stop chasing peace and start choosing it. You no longer react to every message, every demand, every emotional pull. You move when you decide to, not when someone else needs you to. That control unnerves people. They call you cold, detached, arrogant, because they can't reach you. But they don't realize you're not building walls, you're building standards. Distance is not isolation, it's filtration. It's how kings choose who sits near the throne. Machiavelli understood that proximity breeds contempt. Familiarity makes people forget the value of your presence. But when you step back, your silence becomes significance. The absence of your energy reminds them of its weight. You become both present and distant, visible enough to be remembered, scarce enough to be respected. Every man must learn this. The more accessible you are, the less authority you hold. If everyone can reach you, no one truly values you. Power requires distance, not because you hate people, but because you love your peace more than their approval. So pull back, watch, let absence speak, because the man who can walk away from everything without losing himself is the one everyone fears losing. Mercy without structure is chaos. Cruelty without control is collapse. Power lives between the two. Most men are afraid of being ruthless because they confuse ruthlessness with evil. But cruelty, when disciplined, isn't violence. It's precision. It's the ability to cut cleanly instead of swinging wildly. The weak delay punishment, hoping problems fix themselves. The strong act when the moment demands it, not out of rage, but out of necessity. They understand that what you refuse to confront today will one day destroy you. Controlled cruelty means doing what others are too sentimental to do, ending alliances that rot in silence, firing the disloyal before their poison spreads, cutting ties with those who drain more than they give. It's not pleasure. It's surgery. The goal isn't to hurt. It's to remove what's killing you quietly. The strong can be merciful, but only after justice is done. They know that forgiveness without consequence breeds repetition. Machiavelli warned that men must learn how not to be good when circumstances demand it, not to lose morality, but to preserve order. The world isn't maintained by endless kindness. It's maintained by decisive correction. The man who cannot be firm in small things will one day collapse in great ones. Strength isn't in aggression, it's in restraint, the ability to stay composed while doing what must be done. Cruelty becomes control when guided by clarity. You don't act to prove power. You act to protect structure. Your strike must be minimal, final, and silent. Announced cruelty is weakness. It seeks validation. Quiet correction builds reputation. People don't fear what you say you'll do. They fear what they know you're capable of doing without warning. The man who acts once, cleanly, is feared more than the one who threatens 100 times. But control requires cost. You must bear the weight of your own decisions without flinching. Weak men collapse under guilt. Strong men understand responsibility. Every act of discipline isolates you a little more, but that isolation is the price of authority. To be both just and feared, you must feel deeply and still choose coldly. Controlled cruelty doesn't destroy your humanity. It defines it. It means your emotions serve your principles, not the other way around. You don't hurt for pleasure. You cut to heal. You don't dominate for ego. You act for order. And when people sense that distinction, they stop testing you, because they finally understand your silence is mercy, and your patience is the final warning. Power is never what it is. It's what it looks like. A man can be strong, but if he looks uncertain, he loses control. Another can be fragile, but if he looks untouchable, the world obeys him. Perception is armor. It protects before you ever have to defend. The weak reveal everything. Their emotions spill through tone, posture, and reaction. They believe transparency means trust, but in the language of power, transparency means exposure. Every word, every facial twitch, every over-explanation gives people access. Access to study you, predict you, disarm you. The strong understand this and move differently. They speak rarely, react slowly, and never show need. The less others can read, the more they must respect. Your image is your shield. The goal isn't to fake strength. It's to project control until it becomes real. Every man has doubts. The difference is who broadcasts them. When you look composed while feeling chaos, you disarm your enemies and steady your allies. Calmness becomes a signal of authority. The moment you flinch, the world senses blood. But when you remain still, even uncertainty begins to fear you. The art is subtle. You don't need to act. You need to edit. Choose what the world sees, and hide the rest. Speak less, and each word becomes heavy. Move slower, and every motion becomes deliberate. Power doesn't require constant proof. It requires consistency. You don't convince people you're strong. You leave them no evidence that you're weak. The greatest illusion is emotional control. When insulted, smile faintly. When doubted, listen quietly. When betrayed, disappear instead of reacting. That silence does more damage than any retaliation. People don't know what you'll do, only that you'll do something. Uncertainty breeds respect. You become the calm center of every storm, the reference point everyone subconsciously measures themselves against. Machiavelli warned that appearance often outweighs reality. A prince must appear merciful, faithful, humane, but he must be whatever survival demands. In the same way, the modern man must master duality, authentic within, unreadable without. You can feel deeply, yet show nothing but control. That isn't hypocrisy, it's discipline. The more you reveal, the less you rule. Never forget, power lives in perception. The man who owns his image controls the narrative. The man who loses it becomes a story told by others. Your armor isn't built from lies. It's built from restraint. Every time you choose silence over impulse, you reinforce it. Every time you walk away instead of arguing, you polish it. And one day you'll realize you no longer need to act composed. You simply are. Power doesn't belong to the smartest or the loudest. It belongs to the one who endures the longest. Most men break, not because they lack strength, but because they lack patience. The modern world rewards speed. Quick success, quick validation, quick collapse. But the powerful know that greatness is built in the spaces between impulses. Endurance is the rarest form of dominance, the ability to outlast noise, emotion, and time. Endurance is quiet. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't beg for recognition. It's built in moments no one sees. The late hours, the failures swallowed in silence, the days where progress feels invisible. Weak men quit when results hide from them. Strong men keep moving because they've learned that pressure is part of the process. Endurance is not about pain tolerance. It's about psychological discipline. It's the ability to remain composed when your mind screams for release. The weak crave relief. The strong crave completion. Endurance trains a man to operate without external reward. You no longer need applause, agreement, or encouragement. You stop measuring time in outcomes and start measuring it in consistency. While others burn out chasing short victories, you conserve energy for the war that never ends. The longer you stay calm, the more people mistake it for invincibility. They can't comprehend how you haven't broken yet. And that confusion is power. But endurance has a cost. It isolates. The path of composure is often misunderstood as coldness. You'll be accused of being distant, emotionless, even heartless. Let them talk. They speak from exhaustion. You move from intention. Endurance is not emotionless. It's emotion mastered. It's feeling everything and still staying steady. It's bleeding internally while keeping your voice even. It's pain without panic. Machiavelli believed fortune favors the patient, not the reckless. Endurance makes you unpredictable because you cannot be rushed. When the world expects reaction, you deliver silence. When they expect collapse, you deliver stillness. That patience breaks people faster than aggression ever could. They run out of energy trying to make you flinch, while you simply wait. You don't need to win the argument. You just need to remain standing when it ends. Endurance turns respect into fear, because the longer you last, the harder you are to replace. Everyone admires persistence, but they secretly fear it. It exposes their weakness. The man who doesn't break becomes the mirror that shows everyone else how fragile they are. So stay silent. Stay steady. Stay longer than anyone thought you could. Because endurance isn't just survival. It's quiet domination. Every form of weakness begins with need. The need to be understood, to be respected, to be loved, to be seen. The world controls you through what you crave. The moment you need something, you hand over the weapon that can destroy you. Detachment isn't emptiness. It's armor. It's not that you stop feeling. It's that nothing owns you anymore. The strong are feared not because they dominate others, but because they are free from dependency. You can't manipulate a man who doesn't need your approval. You can't threaten someone who's at peace with loss. You can't pressure a mind that's no longer chasing comfort. Detachment is the quiet realization that nothing external defines you. And once you grasp that, the entire world loses leverage. Most men fail here. They cling to status, relationships, comfort, pride. They call it loyalty, but it's fear in disguise. They fear being forgotten, replaced, misunderstood, and that fear keeps them chained. The strong man cuts those chains, not because he hates what he walks away from, but because he refuses to belong to it. Detachment isn't withdrawal. It's liberation. It's the ability to participate in the world without becoming its prisoner. When you detach, you stop performing. You stop chasing recognition, arguing to be right, explaining your silence. You begin to move differently. Slower, sharper, quieter. You no longer react to disrespect. You outlast it. You no longer defend your decisions. You embody them. You no longer demand loyalty. You inspire it. Every reaction you withhold builds mystery. Every silence you keep builds fear. Detachment turns you into an enigma, present but unreachable. But make no mistake, detachment isn't about arrogance or apathy. It's about clarity. You can only command what you can observe, and you can only observe what doesn't consume you. When you detach from the need to win, you see the entire board. When you detach from emotion, you see the real motives behind actions. You stop fighting battles for ego and start winning wars for peace. Machiavelli understood this truth. The ruler who cannot detach will be ruled by his own passion. To lead anything, you must first stand above it. The detached man doesn't fight for control. He is control. His calm becomes terrifying because it cannot be shaken. People sense that his silence isn't weakness. It's freedom, and freedom is the ultimate power. The weak stay kind because they fear disapproval. The strong stay feared because they fear nothing. Detachment is the final transformation, the death of need, the birth of dominance.